Understanding the site plan editor is an important part of having a better site plan design. So when you open a project, there is a site plan, there's a snapshot of the site plan, and then there is a site plan editor. You can start opening the site plan editor by clicking on this preview or the editor itself. The site plan editor has many features. We will go through it one by one and explain what they are. And then we're going to develop an advanced site plan a little bit later on in different sessions. So the site plan consists of the first page. Let's go through the pages first. So this is the Google Map view of the site. You have a guide of what information is available for us. For example, we have elevation data, we have solar data, solar potential elevation. We have historical wind data. We do have international data sources for various images and so forth. We do have high resolution imagery, and we do have accurate parcel information on this information. So these are the guides for it. Some of the shortcuts. So taking a look at the layers. So the layers are also accessible here. So what are the layers? The layers are the enablement of tools that you can mark things on the site plan. Some of it will be recognized by artificial intelligence itself. Some of it are things that you can simply enable the toolkit, the tool on top, and work through it. We go through it now, and we're going to talk about it in another session as far as the details are concerned. So property line, the default that you see on is basically the default that you see here, right? These are the things. You see the roof line, you see the property line. So these are the default: property line, existing roof footprint. And there is some settings that we can discuss a little bit later on as far as how you can do that. Pool recognition, or drawing up a pool tool. Line object, which is basically defining sewer lines, utility lines, and other lines. A tag, you want to tag a part of the plan and tag it as, a driveway or something else. Tree trunks and also drip lines of those trees can be enabled. Hardscaping, so hard surfaces, lawn and grass, existing low vegetation, so these are plants like flowers and so forth. Solar panel recognition, and also other objects that you want to tag and recognize on the ground. So if I was going to, for example, enable a pool recognition, so I'll click on the pool, and I have many options of what we have to do here. We'll discuss it later, but what it will do is, you notice that there is no dotted line here because it found the pool, right? And also it gave me the ability to go draw a pool if you didn't find it. So these are the layers. We leave it at that for now, and then we go through the rest of it. Exports are what you export out on the file format. We'll have a session just on that one. 3D resolution, 3D viewer. 3D viewer is designed so you can visualize what is going to look like. We'll have a session on that as well. Windrows plot. So this is the windrows plot for this location. So the center is your location, this house, and it shows the historical data of the direction of the wind and the location of the wind as well. And we do have sun calculations. So this is the property, and we have the location of the sun based on that. There are other ways to look at this as well, which we'll bring up for you soon as well. Now, let's go to the next tab and explain what that is. Preferences. So these are the areas that are default set for every project, and then you can change it around as you wish, but let's talk about it, right? So showing aerial imagery, if I turn this off, you notice that basically it has an old image. That's the Google image, probably several years old. When I turn this back on, the aerial imagery becomes available, high resolution one, which you sort of see with this little box that is high resolution, right? The value of the aerial imagery is huge. We have historical data, right? So this one was taken about a month ago, July 17th, right? We have also February 10th. Now we are presenting like a couple of years, but you could go here and select to show all of the data, right? So now have in mind, this is much more powerful than Google Maps, right? Google imagery. This thing happens a few times a year. So for understanding what has happened to the property, this is where you would want to go. So I select all, I'm going to click apply. It says, yeah, I want to apply. That's fine. So now I have, for this given property, I have, it looks like 3 times a year. There's aerial imagery, right? But I can go all the way out to 2014, right? So let's go take a look at it and see what 2014 looked like. So click on apply. Yeah, we'll see. 2014, there was nothing there. So as you can see, it looks like it was part of another property that probably got split into this one. So the value of having the latest imagery is extremely important. So we go back to July, apply it, and there we go. Right. So that's the latest one. You always would want to develop the site plan based on the latest imagery for obvious reasons. Now, if you would want to, there is an option to sync the images, so you can kind of sync it together. We default the imagery to 70% quality. You can go higher if you wish. You might get a little slower because you would have to have, it's a bigger image, but good value if you need to use the image for something else. We do have panoramic imagery available. Now for panoramic imagery, we rely on the Google. So if I click on panoramic imagery, you notice that this is a Google image, the older one, right? But we can also kind of walk around and see what it was like, before and so forth. So this enables you to see a panoramic image of what's happening there. Elevation data is shown here. You can see these little dotted lines. So on the toolbar, you notice that there is this Zen mode. And we'll talk about that a little shortly, but let me just click on it. You notice that these are the elevation lines, right? So we leave it at this Zen mode, which basically means that when you're in the Zen mode, the imagery is removed, right? So this is the Zen mode. So you notice that this it's pretty flat, lot, right? But there's some elevations here. Now, if you want to, you could change the elevation intervals from 4 feet to 2 feet. You notice that it will calculate, right? Or from 2 feet to 1 feet. Maybe your desire is to do that. Now the elevation data is really accurate because it has nothing to do with the property boundaries, right? It's just the elevation of the land, and it gives you a good view of what the land elevation was like, right? So we just put it back at 4th. 4th is the default. Hiding elements outside of parcel is, so we considered the snapshot, that you see here is what we're focusing on. So if you hide the elements, then things around it will not be shown. We just leave that default. Showing object ID might be one that we want to do, and basically this has something to do for advanced users. You don't necessarily have to worry about it at this point. Selected objects. So if you have an object selected, it will give you on the selected what the object can be further defined. So this is existing roof, right? So I can say the object ID is existing roof. I can say main house. So now it's registered as main house, and you can say, oh, well, I don't see it. Where is it here? That has to do with the layers. Now we're going to discuss a layer session a little bit later on, but I'll show you here. I will go here. If you notice on the layers, it says show annotation. So it says label only and label in an area. Let's just do label in an area. And if I do dimensions, it would also show the side as well. Let's go take a look. So you notice that now it says main house and shows the total square footage. And if you zoom in, you notice that it has all of the measurements on the side. Why is that? That's because on here, I have enabled this, label an area, but I will take this away, and you notice that no longer the measurements are in. So this is part of the way we work. What you see is what you get. You want to see it, enable it, see it on the plan, and then you can export it out. Setbacks are an important part of it. We set it off, right? It's off for now. But as we know, there's always a setback. For example, we know that in California, there's a 5-foot setback. At least in this property, I know there is a 5-foot setback as well. I can go enable a setback. So when you enable a setback, you have to obviously add a setback. Setbacks are very specific to the property themselves, right? So you see this this area. This is a C line, right? C is 127 feet. There is D on this side, right? So C, and I think this one is an A. You see down here it says A. On the C and A, I know there is a 5 feet setback. So I'll go in and say on A there is no structure, and that is under 5 feet. I'll add that in. So this goes in and adds in, you see the dotted line that was added in, that's the 5 feet setback. I will go in and add in another one. So we go in, that's line A, so we added another one to line C that it was. So again, line C, that also has a no structure, 5 feet setback. So we do that as well. And you could change the color if you wish. We leave the sides as red. On the back, I believe there's a 10 feet setback. So we are on the little corner. So I'm going to add that in just so that we see it's on the B line. So we go in and add in another one on the B line. And we put in no structure. And I believe this one is at a 10 feet setback, right? So we add that in. And to make this a little different, if you wanted to, on the B line, we'll make this, we make it green if you wish to do that, right? So we will have that, right? So, which is correct. The structure here is the swimming pool, and there's nothing there, not in the setback. Now you develop your project setbacks and so forth, and you notice that now your project has a setbacks. You can also do the front. Now, if your property has different, odd shapes, the corners and so forth, you notice that there's like A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and you kind of set it up together with that. So these are the type of things that enables you to further develop your site plan. Now let's talk about what you see on the screen here, and then we're going to have sessions on each one of these things before we go to the next level up. Now, we talked about here, so you can select an object, so you can select an area here. The reason you see the pool is because I enabled it in the label. This was the existing roof line because your default is enabled, you see it. Save option, so it's always here. It's always a good idea to save your work. This is the 3D viewer, so I'll go ahead and show you a 3D viewer here. There is not, different sessions on this, so you'll see it. Going back to home, this is, take a snapshot, refocus, so reset the view. So it comes to reset the view, zoom in, zoom out. You can toggle visible for all setbacks and so forth. You have measurements, so you can basically say, I want to see from here to here is how long. This is to scale, so you have some measurement tools. You have area footage, so you can do that as well. And you can, erase your measurement tools, right? Now, let's talk about the 3D part, the last part of this. So if you remember, we have it here, right? And also we have it here, this 3D. 3D is a visualization of what you see, what you get. We have a roof line, we have a property line, we have some elevations. So if I click here, or if I click here, I will have a 3D view, which is generated on your computer based on the data that's available. And it will basically bring up the 3D view of that property. We have a structure, we have the land, the pool was selected actually, that was there too. And you have the ability to kind of view the property and see what it's going to look like around it. You see the elevations a little bit around it and further out. So it has all of that data available to you as well. So this is your editor, and those are all the functions. There will be other options as well that you have access to, but it will give you an overview of how things look like on the editor itself.